Hello there everyone, I hope that you're having a beautiful day today. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I've created this card using a fun technique, a shaker card that you can see through right the way through into the back, which is really quite cool. So to do this I'm going to be using the wonderful new dies from Ellen Hutson. These are the Alpine window dies and I'm going to be using 3 of them in here. There are 5, but I'm going to be using these ones here. So I'm going to be using 3 layers for my shaker. I'm going to be using the mountains, the little trees and the little house, and this is how they stack up. So I've got a layer here which I'm going to move to the side, and I'm going to start with my card base, which I do have here. So the larger one will be going onto the layer because that will be in front. So that one's the one that will be going in the front, and then this one is going in the middle. So this is the one that I'm going to place on the front of my card base. So I'm going to get this nicely into the center, into position, and once I've done that I'm going to pop a little bit of washi tape just so it stays exactly where it is. Once I've done that, I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine. So this is a thin die, so it will work in all the major die cutting machines. So it's probably going to work in yours. So then I'm going to remove this really gently because it's a really delicate die cut. And then I'm going to flip my card base over. So I'm working on the inside behind the bit that we've just cut. I've placed a little bit of acetate, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, right on top, and this is going to act as a guide for my die cutting for the second piece. I've then taken the largest die cut. This is going to be the one that goes on the layer. I've added a little bit of repositionable glue behind it, and I'm just going to pop this into place on the acetate, but I'm going to line this up through the other window. So because the acetate is see-through, you can see exactly where you do need to pop this. And once that is nicely stuck into place, I'm then going to add this onto my layer. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it's exactly the same size as the card base and the piece of acetate that we're using as a guide. Once I've got it in position, I'm then going to just run this through my machine. So it's easier to get in position because the acetate is exactly the same size, so you just need to line up the edges to get it perfect. I'm then going to remove the little bit of washi tapes that I did add to the side so it wouldn't move around while it was going through my machine. This one was a little bit sticky, but once I've done that, I've then got this layer done, and then as you can see, when you pop that onto the front, the windows match up perfectly, which is really cool. So then I'm going to work on the back one. So I'm going to place this on the front of my card base. I've just popped the acetate guide in. Then I'm going to take the mountains, which is the smallest of the windows. Again, a little bit of repositionable adhesive I'm placing onto that. I'm then going to line this up with that window again. So it's really quite easy to do. It may be a little bit fiddly, but I think this guide works really well, and it does help out in getting the positions perfect. So I'm then going to add this into the place where I want it to cut. So this is the back piece of the card. I'm just going to line this up with all the edges and then add some washi tape just to keep it in place so it doesn't move around when I am die cutting it. So I'm just going to add the top on my plate and then run that through my machine, and that is all the die cutting complete. So I'm going to just take the washi tape off again. Again, the washi tape is a little bit sticky. I should have took some of the stick off it on the back of my hand, but I didn't do that before I did use it, but it's okay. None of my bits ripped. So as you can see, when I close the card, they're all in perfect position. I then can place my panel on top, and they're all perfectly, the windows are all lined up great. So I'm going to pop my sentiment into place first before I do any sticking. I'm using one of the sentiments from the Mondo Holly stamp set, which is very pretty, and I'm going to use a little bit of industrial diamond just to ink this up. I wanted a softer look rather than just using black, so I thought a dark grey would work really well. So once I've got that done, I can flip this over and then add some tape. I'm using some super sticky tape. Reason being, I am using some acetate in my shaker cards, and I find that this works really well to adhere the acetate. Once I've got it in place, I'm just going to trim off the edge because I did cut it a little bit large. I don't know why, but I did. So I'm just going to trim that off, and then the first window is done. I'm then going to line up my panel with my card base, And I'm going to put the adhesive in exactly the same place as I did on the first panel. Reason being is because we're going to be able to see through that larger window, and I don't want to place the adhesive around the smaller window because then you'll still be able to see the adhesive. So that's why the adhesive is further down the card rather than butted up against that die cut window that we've got in this layer. So again, I'm using some super sticky tape, and I'm just going to remove the backing and then again pop on a little bit of acetate. As you can see, the two pieces that we're doing are going to be facing each other when we adhere them together, so there's going to be no messy edges on the inside of your card. I'm then going to add some tape. So this is foam tape. This is to create the shaker window. You're going to want a little bit of depth to add in all your little shaker elements. So I'm just going to cut this in half. This makes it a little bit easier to work with it when you're working with a shaker card. And then going to just trim it a little bit, and you want to butt up all of these foam pieces right up to each other. And you can see just then I added a little bit of a snip to one side of my foam tape. This was to help it form around the outside edge of this window. Because it is a circular window, you're going to want a curve rather than lots of straight lines. So I found that this works really well. All I do is I snip halfway into the foam tape, and then it is easier to fold around that shape. So in theory, I'm using a little bit less tape, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. So I'm just making sure that they all butt up to each other so none of my little shaker elements are going to escape. For my shaker elements, I'm going to be using 2 sizes of sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, and I also found some like glitter in my stash that I decided to pop in as well. So I wanted all like the snowy elements to be clear and iridescent, so I found that these all worked really, really well together. Once I've got them in, I did place them all onto that center piece, onto the window, so I knew that it wasn't going to be where the foam tape was, because we don't want to be sticking the foam tape onto these because then we may get gaps. So once it's all done, you can see how pretty that does look when you shake it round. We have a beautiful little snowy scene, all white on white, which is very, very pretty and a little bit classy, I think. So as you can see, when you do open the card, you can see that it's all beautiful in there as well, and you can see directly through the card to the back as well. I find that this is really, really fun and a beautiful look with a card as well, especially a Christmas card. Sparkle always goes a long way. So I really do hope that you've enjoyed the video and that you like the technique and that you do give it a go. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video and you would like to watch a couple more, there are a couple more here if you would like to watch them. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again really, really soon. Bye bye.